Howdy neighbors, David here. And today on Boondock Stallions, we've just finished watching the very first Child's Play movie, and it's time to look back on that, and I have a few thoughts and notes. Now, before we get started, go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Now, Child's Play, we're going to be doing one of these every day. Like I said, we're doing 31 days of horror, and I've decided that in build-up in anticipation for the Chucky TV series that premieres next week, I will be watching one Child's Play a day up to the premiere. So today we're doing Child's Play 1, and tomorrow will be 2, and then 3, and so on and so forth. And we're going to make it all the way down to Cult of Chucky, which, like I said, wasn't nearly as good as Curse of Chucky, which sadly was probably the best one since Bride of Chucky, or even the original, having said that. But you know, those are the ones that went straight to DVD because of how big a disappointment at the box office Seed of Chucky was. And Seed of Chucky, like I said, while it's not the best in the series, it does serve its purpose, making sure that we get Tiffany for the rest of the series, and it sets up Chucky wanting to stay in the doll. It's actually his big epiphany in that movie is that he's more notorious and more famous and more infamous than ever as a doll than he ever was as the Lakeshore Strangler, Charles Lee Ray. And so he decides to stay there. But I'm off topic and jumping days into the future. We'll talk about that when we get there. Today, we are watching Child's Play. So when I was watching the movie, I decided to go through all of these special features on the first disc because why wouldn't I go through all the special features on the first disc? That is what it's there for. And from what I'm to find out, I've always known that there were a lot of changes made from Don Mancini's original script. Now, having said that, before we delve into that, check out my video. I'll leave a card there or a link down in the comments for you guys to check out my Chucky video. I made a video on why Child's Play, the entire franchise from part 1 to the remake, and hopefully this TV series, is the strongest supervillain slasher film franchise to come out of the 1980s. It's really cool. You guys should check that one out and give it a like while you're there. Having said that, Don Mancini's original script for Child's Play didn't have voodoo in it. The doll was brought to life through interaction with the child. The two formed a bond. The child bonded with the doll, obviously. And then through that bond and an unexplainable supernatural event, the doll took on life created by a child, which kind of reminds me of both the Great Intelligence from Doctor Who and a little bit of a I know he said he was inspired by the Twilight Zone episode, but I was actually thinking of an episode of the X-Files during season 5 called Chinga, which was written by Stephen King and easily the scariest episode of the X-Files to ever grace the show. I mean, there's one you don't watch with the lights on because it's terrifying. Actually, keep the lights on and have your dog or all your dogs and a cat. Definitely a cat. Evil hates cats, which is interesting because my cat is some kind of evil. But that was basically what ended up happening. And the director of the movie, Tom Holland, not Spider-Man Tom Holland, but the director Tom Holland, added the voodoo element when he rewrote Don Mancini's original script. And from what I'm not saying or trying to throw shade at the director, Tom Holland, but from what I've gathered in the way they kind of tiptoe around him in the special features and documentaries, he and a lot of his attitude were not really well received by the cast and crew that was there for the first one. I noticed he's not there on the commentary or for the movie. So whatever happened there is being left, not being spoken about, but I have to understand from other sources that there was some bad blood between him and the way he treated Alex Vincent, Andy, while they were filming. So it's understandable. And it looks like they got stuck with this whole voodoo thing and had to run with it for the next set of sequels, as it was firmly established that was how Chucky operated, was through voodoo. That's how he transferred his soul. And so they use it for 2 and 3, and then they just flat out made fun of it in all of the Chucky movies. I mean, they are strongly making fun of it. They started off with Voodoo for Dummies when Tiffany was trying to resurrect Chucky, that stupid little amulet that Glenn/Glenda wears or uses to bring Chucky and Tiffany back to life in Seed of Chucky, uh, and even in Cult of Chucky, where now what Chucky did exactly in Cult of Chucky was never really shed light on how he was able to put multiple soul bits of his soul into different dolls to create multiple versions of him running around at a time. But from what I've seen in the trailer for the new show, it seems that Chucky is making Horcruxes. Now, they didn't say Chucky's making Horcruxes, but they said that he's broken his soul into several pieces and put them into strategic dolls and even a person, the character Mika from Curse and Cult of Chucky, who is actually the voice actor Brad Dourif, who voices Chucky's real life daughter. So it's really interesting to see her play a female version of her father's character, which is fine because, to be fair, Brad Dourif didn't really do much with the Chucky character. Brad Dourif was only Charles Lee Ray, and I meant to say Charles Lee Ray, not Chucky. He was only Charles Lee Ray for maybe 5 minutes of screen time in the very first Child's Play movie, and then 5 minutes of flashbacks in Seed of or Curse of Chucky. So it's fair that she could take on a new way of playing the role and looking at it and approaching it. And so I'm interested to see what she's going to do. I also had a theory that Devon Sawa would be playing a young version of Charles Lee Ray in the Chucky TV series, but that was debunked. Thanks a lot, IMDb. But it was still a fun video. Y'all should check that one out. I had a really solid idea. I'll go back and leave a card here. I think that movie terrified the absolute bejesus out of me during my childhood. True story. I was 6 when Child's Play came out, and my sisters, bless them, had rented the movie and brought it home and got me all excited because, David, you know how you loved that little My Buddy doll? I loved My Buddy doll. I named him Timothy. He was my best friend in the world, and my sisters ruined him for me with Child's Play. I begged my father for that doll. I begged and begged and begged my father for that doll, and he got it. He got me the My Buddy doll, and if you're familiar with My Buddy dolls in the 80s, that was no cheap or easy feat. And my dad went above and beyond, got me the doll, and then my sisters played that movie for me, and I honestly haven't seen the doll since the day I saw that movie. It is gone. I'm certain I trashed it and set it on fire, or at least, hopefully, I set it on fire. I don't remember. I was only 6. I probably didn't set it on fire. Probably. But yeah, that was probably one of my first earliest steps into horror movies, was the very first Child's Play movie. And I think that Brad Dourif plays it beautifully because nobody recognizes him. He even says it himself in one of the special features, that he walks around the streets and nobody recognizes him. But the minute you say, yeah, I'm the guy that does the voice of Chucky, people know immediately who he is, and he's everywhere. Urban Legends, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, probably one of my favorite films with him in it. I'm to understand that he was up against Jack Nicholson for the role of Joker in 1989's Batman movie. I think that he would have been amazing. Could you imagine Chucky's laugh on the Joker? Like, that brutally terrifying. But once again, I mean, I'm not complaining. Jack Nicholson was amazing. Let's see. Chris Sarandon. I mean, I know I've seen him in this movie a gajillion times, but he will forever be ingrained in me from Fright Night, because Fright Night is probably the best movie ever. He's so cool, Brewster. How do you feel about the Child's Play remake? Now, here's the thing about the Child's Play remake. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. It follows the rules of the remakes. If you paid attention to Screen 4, when Sydney says there's one very important rule when remaking a movie, and that's don't with the original. And they didn't at all. The Child's Play remake was its own thing. There was no magic. It was all computer technology, which, I mean, I guess is a form of magic if you're from a primitive civilization, but that's neither here nor there. and it was terrifying. Chucky was AI, and it was learning. It was literally, it was, you know what it was? It was like Terminator, but 2 feet tall. He was literally the Terminator. I think the most terrifying aspect of it was that the AI was learning, and it was learning wrong because it was learning from children who were goofing and joking, and it didn't really know that the kids were goofing and joking. It took everything literally, and then it took its number one programming rule, which was to be Andy's best friend no matter what, to heart. Like, he was 100 dead set that he was going to be Andy's best friend if that meant that he had to kill everybody around Andy to be the only one in Andy's life. It actually makes me think of the Peacemaker in Suicide Squad, where he talks about he loves freedom so much that he'd kill every man, woman, and child to get it. But yeah, the Child's Play remake was really solid. Mark Hamill did his absolute best to not even try to step on Brad Dourif's toes and emulate anything that came before him. He wanted to make it his own character, his own thing, and he did a really good job with it, which is saying something because I hate horror movie remakes. I mean, let me list off a few that were good and that were bad. Psycho. All right. I am the biggest Psycho fan in the world. Just over here behind me, I have the entire box set, and I loved Bates Motel with Vera Farmiga and oh, there's my alarm. It's almost time to cut this thing over. Vera Farmiga and oh my God, why can't I remember the kid's name? But anyways, he was Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But amazing show. But that 1998 remake with Vince Vaughn and Anne Heche, trash. Oh my God, it was a shot-for-shot remake. How could y'all mess that up? Well, that was probably your first mistake, was trying to make it a shot-for-shot remake, and then the colors were just so bright and ridiculous. It was stupid. Don't do that. Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, amazing. Prequel to it, I don't know why we needed a prequel to that. Like, but whatever. Friday the 13th remake, trash. Jason ran. You ripped off the zombie idea to make the zombies run, and now Jason's doing it. Trash. Nightmare on Elm Street had a great idea. The idea was that maybe Freddy was innocent. Maybe Freddy was a bad guy. Or maybe Freddy was a good guy, sorry, and that the kids had lied and gotten him burned alive, and he was back to take out his revenge on the kids that had lied and gotten him murdered in the first place. And that was actually a solid idea. Like, if they'd run with that and made that the actual story, it might have made the 2010 remake watchable. But they wasted it, and Freddy was a bad guy. Freddy was more than just a bad guy. They actually made him a child molester. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, but he was always a child molester. No, he was not. Watch all of the Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Freddy was never once mentioned to be a child molester until the remake. He was always said to have been a child murderer, slasher, killer. Never once did it say he was inappropriately touching kids or doing anything sexual with them at all. And so fight me in the comments if you want, but I'm dead ass about that. So horror movie remakes. Rob Zombie's Halloween. Yes, that right there. Rob Zombie, I would like to applaud you right here for what you did with your remake, and I'm going to stop now because of what you did with the sequel, because your Halloween 2 was a piece of shit. It was a piece of shit. That is the most swearing I've ever done on my channel right there, and I did it because your movie was a piece of shit. Halloween 2 was trash, and you shouldn't have been allowed to make that one, Rob Zombie. I mean, the only thing that could have saved it is if Michael Myers was actually dead. I don't know if you're familiar with how guns and bullets work here, sport, but when you shoot somebody at point blank range in the face, it's going to take off all of this. Like, you're going to see a great significant chunk of this missing. It's not just going to blow away the mask and leave his face perfectly unscathed. That's not how bullets work, Rob. Anyways, I got to cut this short because I have to go give my dad a ride. And so be excellent to each other and party on, dudes. I'm on my way, Dad.